Meeting will come to order. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Abraham,
Present.
Commissioner Galt, Commissioner Kaler,
Present.
Commissioner Watkins,
Present.
Mayor Paxton.
Tonight we have Father Pat here from St. Thomas More for the invocation. Father Pat.
I'd like to read a couple of excerpts from Psalm 111. The Lord has shown his people the power of his works in giving them the heritage of the nations. The work of his hands are faithful and just. All his precepts are trustworthy. They are established forever and ever to be performed with faithfulness and uprightness. He sent redemption to his people. He has commanded his covenant forever. Holy and terrible is his name. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all those who practice it. His praise endures forever. And let us pray. Heavenly Father, we do know that the beginning of wisdom is fear of you, and it is a fear not based on condemnation as so much a fear of just grieving your heart. So we reverence you this night as your children, and we delight in you, and we pray that our reverence of you will give us that spirit of true wisdom. And after this busy day, like Martha in the Gospel, sometimes we're upset or troubled about many things. Just give us that spirit of calm and peace as we look to the needs of our community around us. Let us tackle all those issues, not seeing them as problems, but seeing them as a means of being creative and using our gifts of intellect and creativity to solve those issues so that we can become more of a community of believers, a community that truly is built upon respect for others, seeing each other as our brothers and sisters. We ask that you just bless these members of the City Commission with all the spiritual gifts that they most need this night and the days ahead. And especially give us your wisdom. And we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Manager, any additions or deletions?
There are none.
Thank you. We'll go to municipal orders. Commissioner Abraham.
I can open it. I move that a municipal order entitled "A Municipal Order Amending the City of Paducah's Fiscal Year 2011 to 2012 Position and Pay Schedule with amendments to reflect the new titles and pay grades adopted by Municipal Order Number 1662 on May 8, 2012, for the employees of the City of Paducah, Kentucky be adopted."
Second.
Cindy.
Hello. Mayor Pro Tem Kaler and Commissioners, last week you adopted our new pay grade schedule as was recommended by Dr. Victoria McGrath on March 20th in her presentation. This is revising our compensation structure. Tonight I'm having for your review the document that we always have in concert with that document, which is the position and pay schedule. It reflects every position that we have on the pay grade schedule that was adopted last week. It shows every position that's budgeted, that has a vacancy, if it's filled civil service or non-civil service as is required by ordinance.
So this just mainly cleans everything up and...
Yes, this document, it makes this document match the new pay grade schedule.
All right. Any questions?
No question?
All right. Thank you. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Kaler.
Aye. Commissioner Watkins?
Upon the recommendation of the city manager, the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah order that the personnel changes on the attached list be approved.
Second.
Okay, personnel actions for tonight. Generally, we begin the personnel actions with several that have been in the pipeline, some onboarding of some new part-time temporary seasonal in the Parks Department, some other promotions, and acting pay adjustments. And then other than that, the rest of the sea of personnel changes before you is a reflection of all of the title changes that are reflected in the pay and position schedule and the pay grade schedule to make all these documents match. The only wage adjustments that go in concert with these title changes are the 4 positions, which impacts 6 employees that we found were not being paid what the market minimum was for those positions. So before you, those 6 positions, ranging from 25 cents an hour to $2 an hour, is bumping those employees to minimum.
Any questions?
No.
All right.
It's a good thing.
Thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Kaler.
Aye. Commissioner Abraham?
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Mayor to Execute a Grant Application through MedLife Foundation and the Local Initiative Support Corporation for 2012 MetLife Foundation Community Police Partnership Neighborhood Revitalization Award in the amount up to $30,000 for the Paducah Police Department be adopted."
Second.
Okay, do we have any, Chief, do you want to talk about this, or? It's an unrestricted monetary grant.
Yes. First of all, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioner, City Manager, and the viewing public. Yes, this was the max that we could get, and it's one of those grants we continue to apply for, relevant to community policing and working in partnership with our citizenry.
Good. Any questions for the Chief?
No questions?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Kaler.
Aye. We go on to ordinances and adoptions. Commissioner Watkins?
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Authorizing the Mayor to Execute an Interlocal Agreement Between the City of Paducah, Kentucky and the County of McCracken, Kentucky for a 2012 Edward Byrne Memorial Grant through the U.S. Department of Justice." This ordinance is summarized as follows: that the Mayor is hereby authorized to execute an interlocal agreement between the City of Paducah and the County of McCracken, Kentucky for a 2011 Edward Byrne Memorial Grant through the U.S. Department of Justice. The interlocal agreement is required to remain in partnership with our local disparate jurisdiction, even though the City of Paducah is the sole and authorized individual allocation.
Second. All right. Any discussion on this? We've talked about it.
We have.
All right. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Kaler.
Aye. Ordinances introduction. Commissioner Abraham?
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Amending Section 126-3, Definitions and Amending Section 126-110, Light Industry Zone, M1 of Chapter 126 Zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky." This ordinance is summarized as follows: that that the Paducah Code of Ordinance, Section 126-3, definition, be amended to include the definition of hillports and Chapter 126-110, Light Industry Zone, M1, be amended to allow heliports as a conditional use within the ML Light Industry Zone.
Second.
Okay, Josh.
This is pretty much to make way if any future industry would like a to explore the option of heliports. It gives them that option to do so through a conditional use process. There would be a public hearing on it via the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission would make a recommendation to the Board of Adjustment, and they're the ones that would actually issue the conditional use permit.
Okay, so this would be good for future businesses coming in?
Yes, we
Good deal.
feel that it would.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go into our workshop now for the Sports Park Committee fundraising report. Mark?
Thanks to Pam, number one. Hi, Commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. I was late asking Pam to have her computer out, so because David has a presentation. This is the update that, as was promised by the fundraising committee for the sports park. And without further ado, I'm going to have who's up first, David? Okay, David Hutchins.
I know you guys have seen me a lot, but Lori Butler, Dr. Butler's wife, is going to speak here in a moment about what it's like to go to some of these tournaments. But first of all, I'm David Hutchison. I want to thank the members of the Paducah City Commission for listening to me again. From a fundraising standpoint, we have some great news to report. We also have some bad news. Let me put this on pause, please. Unbeknownst to the fundraising committee, composed of myself, Mr. Jeff Aiken, right here, Dr. Danny Butler, who's not here, but Lori is, and Dr. Halden Ford, the Community Foundation of West Kentucky's board rejected our application to host charitable contributions for the Paducah Sports Park on behalf of the City of Paducah. At approximately 3 p.m. today, I personally hand-delivered contribution checks to the Foundation's Executive Director, Mr. Tony Watkins. I was informed his board had met and denied our application at their board meeting that was held at 11 o'clock this morning. I asked why and was told that a letter would follow explaining the board's denial. I asked why, myself along with the fundraising committee were dismayed by the decision but are not swayed in our efforts to meet the demands of raising the necessary funds. We will be exploring other options for charitable donations where they can be hosted very shortly. And I will provide a copy of the letter we received from the Community Foundation of West Kentucky to the city manager as soon as it's available. Now for some great news. When I was here last, I think we had about $60,000, a little less than $60,000. And that was a couple months ago. We now have a total of $184,100 in written firm pledges, cash donations, and like-kind donations of professional services engineering to the park. This exceeds the $175,000 amount the Commission had previously agreed that was needed to proceed with project engineering. The fundraising team feels very confident that the additional $65,900 can be raised in the next 90 days to meet our goal of $250,000 for construction of Phase 1 of the sports park. This $184,100 is a 207% increase since we were here last. This breakdown of donors includes 20 individuals or families and 5 businesses, which include Western Baptist Hospital, Lourdes Foundation, Purchase ENT, Dr. Butler and Associates, and 5H Technologies. The McCracken County Youth Soccer Association has donated a total of $40,140 of funds committed to the project by unanimous vote of its board of directors. In addition, the McCracken County Youth Soccer Association, which Jeff is the president, has committed to donating all of its profits from its Labor Day Classic Soccer Tournament over the next 3 years. This effort represents approximately 600 children playing soccer in our community. So we've come a heck of a long way since we last met. We appreciate your efforts and look forward to the authorization of engineering and construction of Phase 1 of this project. We feel confident once construction of Phase 1 commences, it will be easy to get major naming rights sponsors for the park and associated fields. Interestingly enough, we've been able to raise $184,100 without a single field being named. These are from donors, local people that want to see this happen. I encourage each member of the City Commission and members of the public to visit a website called fncpark.com, which I'm going to play a short video with your approval. This sports park was constructed by the city of Oxford, Mississippi. Oxford is a city with a population of 18,900 people. much smaller than Paducah and greater McCracken County area. Their park will host 6 tournaments alone in the next 30 days. We are missing out on a huge economic impact for our community, which Lori's going to talk about shortly. If it's okay, I'd like to play this, but also I want to talk about, I think we had spoke about speaking with the county. I did that. I met with the judge executive and the deputy judge executive along with Ms. Butler. We both met with them, and we know that they came back per our request and met with the city manager. We are more than open to participating in a blue ribbon panel, a committee. We want to see this through, and we want to explore all opportunities. But we want to see something move forward, something that everybody can work on. So we are more than happy, the members of our committee, to serve on that and to work with the county. But we want you to know that we came back and upheld our commitment of meeting with the county. So if it's okay with you, can I play this short video before?
Sure.
Hang on just a second. Can you hear this? Is there audio?
You get the lights?
Oh my gosh, it's like coming out to a huge
It's about 4 minutes.
party every night we have sports.
If you look around, there's all kinds of brothers and sisters out here, the whole family's out here, grandparents, so everyone, it's almost like a big family picnic out here. It's great.
We have so many great things here in Oxford, and we're so fortunate and blessed. But when you look at FNC Park and you walk in there, I think it's really the spirit of Oxford. I mean, when you walk into the park, it makes you very proud that you're part of this community.
Baseball, football, flag football, soccer, everything that FNC offers, I think my kids are a part of, and they absolutely love it.
When I think about what we have, different from what other communities have, I mean, I've been other places, and nowhere I've been has a facility anywhere close to this.
We facilitate any and all Oxford Park Commission event. Soccer, we got 100+ soccer teams. I think last year we had right at 60 youth baseball teams, adult softball, youth softball. We also play a flag football league out here. And several times throughout the year, we have baseball tournaments, softball tournaments. We're getting bigger into the soccer tournaments now. We have we've teamed up with Oxford High School, and we have a 7-on-7 high school passing league tournament. Under Armour is actually the title sponsor for that event. We have teams from all over the state come to participate in this passing league camp. Coupled with that event, we also put on a football officials clinic. We have some of the best officiating minds in the country come down for this clinic, where a lot of young officials can get a lot of great information from that event. The facility is comprised of 5 regulation-sized soccer fields, international-sized soccer fields. We have 11 ball fields, 8 baseball fields, and 3 softball fields. So if you can play it, we can do it, pretty much.
It makes for a great setup to be able to view not only your child, but your one child is playing their sport, but multiple kids. Myself, I have 3 children, and at times they have multiple games going at the same time, and I can get to the different fields to see them.
FNC Park sits on 75 acres, and it's a one-stop shop for all the moms and pops to watch their kids play.
We have all these great fields that look like professionally kept and pretty and green, and I've seen the children rub their hands on the grass and say, wow, this is like a green carpet.
I wish my grass looked like this at my house because it's beautiful.
I haven't seen probably any better, really, to be honest. We travel about an hour and a half to get here. We can travel closer to some places, but as far as the facilities, I hadn't seen any better. But when they get to come and see what these facilities are made of and how professional they look, I think they just feel better playing ball.
My team last year played in the state tournament, and it rained, I think, for almost a half a day, and it didn't miss a beat. And so I know a lot of teams throughout the state are starting to pencil in Oxford as a destination.
That's been a big thing for us through the years, is we get ready to go play a tournament and it rained out. So I know with the tarps, that's a big deal now for this facility. That means that, hey, if it rains things the day before, you still come and play.
The biggest thing that we get is how nice the playing surface is and how well everything plays. The group of guys that work on
it keeps going and shows more of the soccer facilities. And what is interesting about this park is, and I'll leave a copy, I only have one, but the city came up with a sponsorship agreement. And if it's okay, I'll just leave a copy and you all can pass it around. But this gives an idea where they raised a ton of money in sponsorship agreement. And their title sponsor is a company called FNC. They're a lending company. And they named everything from bridges to fields. And they did it on a quarterly basis. Some of them were 10-year commitments, some of them were 5-year commitments. And it made it a lot easier on somebody if they were committing. I think a soccer field was $12,500, and it came out to like $650 or $625 a quarter. It was a lot easier for them to make those commitments. But apparently they've been successful at it and shown that what a community of 18,900 people can do. Again, I appreciate you listening to me. I'm going to turn this over to Lori, but we've come a long way on the fundraising. You asked to see progress. I think 207% in a few months is a huge amount of progress, and we're ready to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
David had asked if I might come and just share a few thoughts with you all. My name is Lori Butler. I appreciate you allowing me to be here. I have 4 children. My oldest is a sophomore at Tillman. I have an 8th grader, a 5th grader, and a 3rd grader. And the first 3 are boys. We've done travel baseball and we've done travel soccer, and we've done it all over the country, from Dallas, Texas, all over Tennessee, Alabama. We've gone everywhere. And at one point, all 3 of my boys were playing travel baseball at the same time. I got tickled at the video when the guy said I could go watch my kids play, because we literally were in 3 cities almost every weekend. It required a grandmother to take somebody, the husband to take somebody, and me to take somebody else. And that was 3 hotel rooms for a weekend in 3 different cities, 3 different restaurants we were going out to at every meal, and it was almost every single weekend. And you start thinking about how much money you're spending. It's phenomenal. That money is not staying in our community at all. It is going to other places. In addition, as a mom, that's really hard when you've got to come home and you've got 3 sets of laundry to get done on Sunday night before you go back to school the next day. As far as our current situation where the McCracken County Youth Soccer is based, my children started playing soccer there. As a mother and as a parent, I have some concerns about that facility. I know that's one of the things that we've talked about, is maintaining the rec program at that location. It's very subpar in my opinion. You have no running water, you have no bathrooms. That may not sound like much, but when you have toddlers who are in pull-ups, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. Concession stands are very subpar because you don't have running water. They brought in, I think, some sort of generators and some sort of pump where you could pump water. It's just not the same. You have no water pressure there. I have about had the bottom of my car ripped out in the parking lot where it has settled, and you're going over these big gullies and hills. And to be quite honest, I'm very concerned about toxins that are out there. As a mom, and with my husband being in the health field, I don't want my children exposed to things, and I know there are things out there. It may not test up all over that park, but there are toxins in that park. And it's not something that we can ever, because of the constant decomposition of what's there, it's always going to settle. It's a landfill that's still continuing to settle. It's never going to be solid, settled ground that they can do anything other than that. So I have very, very big concerns about that facility in general as well. One of the other things that's a big concern for me as a parent is obesity. My daughter, who is a 3rd grader, has a problem with her weight. She is a heavy child. We've been in swimming, we've been in dance, we've been in soccer. We do a lot of things to encourage her to get exercise. But anything that this community can provide to encourage her, to provide another facility for her, and it's not just her. Just doing some CDC lookup and some different things. Kentucky we rank in the top 9 in the country as far as obesity. We're more than twice the target rate that they want it to be. In McCracken County, we're We're no better than any of the counties around us. We're very, very poor in our obesity rates. So when you start talking about kids playing at a subpar facility for soccer, and then maybe some of the kids who have an ambition to do more than that start going out of town to other things, there's not a local option for some of these teams. It really takes away from the abilities there. And, you know, this park that we've talked about building has walking trails. It's not just a soccer park. It's got baseball, it's got softball, it's got walking parks, it's got playgrounds, it's got things where kids can go and adults and get exercise. So I think that's something that we need to take a better look at. In addition, I know one of the things that's been talked about, at least in the paper, I haven't been to any of the meetings, using maybe some of the county schools. There's existing fields there with the high schools, looking at that option. We've been all over the country playing sports. I have never been to a tournament where you had one field here and one field there. You might have two complexes that they use, but within each complex, there were multiple fields. And you've got to remember, some of these kids are U8. You can't put them on a big field. It doesn't work. So if I were to come into town with my 3 kids who are all playing soccer, and somebody's playing at Reedland, somebody's playing at Heath, and somebody's playing at Lone Oak, I'm not coming back. I'm sorry. You may have got my money for this tournament, but I will not be back. And I think that's what you will find. A lot of the people who might express initial interest in coming, they're not going to come back. And there is money to be had. I did just a little bit of research. I'm not going to bore you. I'm going to leave you with this. As I said, it's not just soccer. South Haven, Mississippi, which if you've ever been there, is built around the baseball field. That's all that was there originally. They made, they're over $1 million in sales tax collections in a month. So last year they made 11.6. That's what they're bringing in. I also found a feasibility study. I'll give you guys a copy of this. This was Sevier County, which is a la our size. And if you look on the next to last page, it does predict that economic output for the facility would be $42 million, over $42 million. Now, we're not talking about building a facility of this size, so maybe we shouldn't expect over $42 million, but I would take half that. I'm sorry, I think that would be a good investment. And the other thing that I found of interest, you can go on any of these websites. You go to Jackson, Tennessee, not a huge town, a la us. This is a copy of just the baseball tournaments that they're going to be hosting. It's just a baseball park. I called down there today. They employ, not all full-time, but they employ over 230 people at the park. That's new jobs for Paducah. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see this be a community where my kids could get a job for the summer and would want to come back and raise their kids, because there are facilities here. There's jobs here. On the back of that schedule that I printed out for Jackson, it's also got the financial report for the city. This was as of June 30th, 2011. If you look on page 5, it says fiscal year 06 saw the completion of the West Tennessee Healthcare Sportsplex, a $13.4 million 17-field baseball and softball complex for both traveling teams and local leagues, which is what we would be looking for. This facility is anticipated to bring in approximately $8 million in tourism dollars annually after the initial startup years. And fiscal year 2011 team registrations totaled 1,438 and included teams from 14 surrounding states. And they were able to reduce the debt service on that after just 5 years of operation. So just a little bit of food for thought there, as far as we're looking for opportunities for this city to grow, as maybe the quilt show may or may not be here, as USEC, because we've got issues there. Let's look at some options that will bring opportunities to this city, employment opportunities. Let's get some money coming back into the community instead of taking it to other places every weekend, like these travel tournaments draw from us. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you all coming tonight and updating us on your fundraising. I've been following it on the Facebook page as well. And, you know, I've made some comments about we need to sell the property. And I'm sure you've heard that. And, you know, initially I have supported this. And I'll let the other commissioners talk on this as well. And the city manager has something to say. I think, you know, we need to look at some creative things that we could do out there with that property that would reduce the expenditures, because let's face it, if we do that, it's the city. It's only going to be the city. So, you know, that's where I've had some of the reservations with us doing it alone and the cost of it. But if we can come up with some creative ways to make this happen, I think maybe we should take a second look at it. I think the city manager wants to speak to, you want to talk about the tax?
Well, it was referenced that there may be, I think the phrase blue ribbon committee formed to take a look at the issue of recreational facilities needs, and I think that's a possibility, and probably a good one to reappraise the needs with respect to other opportunities that may be there, or even just the passage of time. It's been, I think, a few years since the concept was hatched. I took note in the size of the complex that was portrayed in the film as only 100 acres, and I believe that was soccer and baseball, and our land asset, I think, is well over 200 acres. Is it 165, excuse me? Still exceeds that by quite a bit, and I believe a high percentage of that is buildable area as well. So it may be that some other investments could occur out there that could result in revenue back into the project for the capital requirements. So I think that bears looking into as well. So it's going to be a tough budget year next year. I mean, we have some things in front of us that really need to be addressed on the capital side. So the timing of this may be the biggest thing that's at issue, quite frankly. But I know the Commission's going to take a serious look at the budget that they get and make the correct decisions there. That's really all the comments I have tonight.
Commissioners?
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Along that line, before we think about selling it, y'all have made a great effort, and here's something, kind of food for thought. We paid $900,000 for 165 acres and a gorgeous home with, what, 2,300 square feet of floor space. It's in excellent condition. If we wanted to pursue other things to reduce that debt load, just food for thought, something to think about. But if we put 5 acres with that house and sold it, I think we could easily get $300,000 out of it. That's a beautiful home. And then if you went along the front of Shannon Bridge Road and sold 1 acre lots, I mean, $25,000 an acre lot would be a bargain. And if you sold 12 acres, 12 lots along Shannon Bridge, you've just sold along the street. The infrastructure is there. Utilities are there. 165 acres, as Mark said, 125 of it's beautiful land. Beautiful land. If you sold 17 in the house, you still got 108 acres of beautiful land. And now you've reduced your debt load by $600,000. You got $300,000 for selling those lots, and that's cheap price for. I sold real estate 8.5 years. That's a good price, and I think it wouldn't be any problem bringing it. So now you're down to $300,000 for 108 acres, and y'all have already raised $184,000. So there will be the option of us developing it or y'all buying it. No banker in their right mind would refuse a deal like that to loan another $116,000 on a piece of property with a $184,000 down payment. But the city, I think, is committed to recreation. You got 600 to 1,000 kids each summer playing soccer, or each year. And everything you said is true. My daughter played out there, and I worked for the city before I quit to go to college, and I used to dump out there. So I know some of the residue that's there, and everything you said is 100% correct. So before we get to the point of just putting it on the market and calling it quits and say, let's just forget it, I think there are other options, and I like, I don't know what y'all think about that idea, but I think it's a way to reduce a $900,000 debt to $300,000, and you still got 108 acres of beautiful land, and all we go is across the rim of Shannon Bridge Road and sell that and pull in 600 grand. So something to think about.
Commissioner?
Initially, I thought we paid way too much money for that property, and it was obvious from the beginning that the county wasn't going to participate in that, even though it's in the county and a lot of the kids that play soccer live in the county. But you know, we have it. We bought it, and for me, this was pretty impressive, and a couple of reasons why. One is, as a personal trainer, I see the amount of money that parents pay for their children to participate in football, basketball, just getting better, and it's not cheap. And they're paying those dollars, and then they're moving around the nation in these tournaments at these facilities. And last night we talked about how can we transition, how can we help the economic impact here in the city. What Commissioner Watkins mentioned, it's one of those deals where you lay it out and you look at it, and you look at some other things. I'm feeling now that maybe we look at, when we're making these decisions about these tight budgetary issues we have to deal with, maybe look at what could be the possible financial impact with all of those teams coming here to participate in these soccer tournaments. It's been my experience that if the facility, Hopkinsville has a very sweet facility, and folks go there, it's top of the line, and that's kind of food for thought, because that's a huge impact. So I think when we're making these decisions that we look at it, and for me, maybe again for the first time, look at it again and think about the possibilities that sportsplex with the teams coming here, the impact it could have. So again, we'll sit down, we'll look at it, but there's a lot of kids playing soccer, and not just soccer, baseball and flag football.
That next to last page on that feasibility study, it estimates the average daily spending per non-local person is $125. My family is 8. When you take the 2 grandmas, that's adding up very quickly.
And I just want to finish with this. Those numbers are folks they're spending that money in different communities. So if we could find a way to make this happen, I think it would be a good thing for this community. It's gonna be it's gonna be tight, but if we can find a way, I'm sure everybody up here would like to see it happen. So those are my comments, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Mark?
And for anybody who would like, we can take a short day trip. State Cup is in Owensboro in 2 weeks.
The Eurosport, which is a state cup for U11 and U12 teams, is this weekend in Mexico.
Yeah, but in 2 weeks, the State Cup is in.
Quite a road trip.
Well, a little 90-mile road trip to on a Saturday. If somebody wants to take a ride, there's people who will be going from here who will be more than willing to have you ride with them, or take a little van or whatever we can do. So if you're interested, so please let me know.
Owensboro has how many sports complexes? 2 soccer? 2 soccer complexes.
Well, you know, I'm sure none of us have any problem with this project. You know, it's a worthy project. It's just, how do we make it happen?
But I think the one thing to realize is it's going to pay for itself, and it's going to pay big in tax income back to the community. Got to think long term, not today. We got to think a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, and you can see what it did in Jackson, Tennessee.
Mark, can I put you on the spot? Would we have any idea how many acres of frontage we have running across Shannon Bridge Road?
Gee,
Yeah, it's.
I'd have to pull out the yardstick.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't a fair question, but I think they're.
I can get that information to you,
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Well, I think this is something we need to continue to look into,
Right.
and appreciate your all's hard work, and you really have raised a lot since you were here last time, and it's a worthy effort, so. And I'm sure that that you'll probably get more support after telling folks what you've done here today. So, thank you. Do we have any commissioner comments tonight?
I do.
All right.
Couple of things. One, just something to think about as we honor our local heroes. We have the Duke of Paducah, and we have the Mayor's Award of Merit, and sometimes we name buildings and roads and different public facilities after people who have given a lifetime of service to this community. And I just want to make one proposal concerning one of our local heroes, and that's Albert Jones. He was an all-state football player at Paducah Tillman High School and the team captain. He served in the Korean War in the Army. He worked for the Kentucky State Police. He worked for the FBI. He was Commonwealth Attorney 17 years. He was U.S. Attorney 3.5 years. He was a state representative representing Paducah for 6 years. He was mayor of Paducah for 5 years. And he was very instrumental in getting much of the initial land donated from Lane Peck to build the Greenway Trail that it's on it. And he walks it 3 days a week. He's 82 years old, and I would like for us to honor Albert Jones, and more specifically by naming the Greenway Trail the Albert Jones Greenway Trail. Something for us to think about. I think it'd be a great way to honor a great Paducahn who's done an awful lot for this community.
Thank you. Of course, we don't have Commissioner Galt or the mayor here tonight, but we'll certainly give that some thought. Thank you, Commissioner.
Absolutely.
All right.
And then one other proposal. The Sons of Confederate Veterans, I think is the name, are getting a lot of publicity. They're getting ready to put up. They've been given a parcel of land right next to Interstate 24 in McCracken County by exit 16 in Reedland. And they plan on, I think, this week, putting up for a permanent display a huge Confederate flag for all to see as they come into McCracken County, and that called the Kentucky State Highway Department Day. That's about 30,000 vehicles every day pass by exit 16, driving through western Kentucky and McCracken County specifically. And I've read the letters to the editor, and I got just a few things to kind of clarify some of those comments. One, you know, we constantly hear, well, that was Kentucky's heritage. Well, Kentucky was never a Confederate state. Kentucky did not secede from the Union. Kentucky furnished between 90 and 100,000 men to the Union forces and between 25 and 40,000 men to the Confederate forces, according to A New History of Kentucky by Lowell Harrison and James Clotter. The Confederates bolted the Union in 1860-61 and provoked Americans' bloodiest war because they feared President Abraham Lincoln and his Northern Republican Party would make them give up slavery. In this war, over 600,000 Americans died, more than all other wars this country's ever fought. If you totaled up all the fatalities, more people lost their lives during that war. Fought over slavery. James McPherson, a history professor at Princeton University and perhaps the country's leading Civil War historian, says Slavery was at the core of the events that provoked the secession of the first 7 states from December 1860 to February 1861. If it had not been for the election of an anti-slavery party to the presidency, there would have been no secession, no firing on Fort Sumner, and no secession by the other 4 states that followed the first 7 out after Fort Sumter. Bill Shell, professor of history at Murray State University, says apologists for the Confederacy claim the issue at stake was states' rights. This ignores the fact that the only right at stake was the right to own, buy, and sell human beings as if they were cattle. As far as being our heritage, again, Kentucky never seceded. It was a loyal state to the Union. The Confederate flag never flew over Kentucky other than by Confederate forces in battle over some occupied parts of Kentucky where battles were going on. This would be, to me, similar to someone hoisting the Spanish flag in Florida, because at one time the Spanish flag did fly over Florida. That was part of Spain. But no one in Florida flies the Spanish flag as part of their heritage. The French flag once flew over the Louisiana Territory. That was French territory. People in Louisiana don't fly the French flag over that state as part of their heritage. Canada once belonged to Mexico. The Mexican flag once flew over California. I meant to say California, I don't know what I said, but the Mexican flag once flew over California. Today, no one in California flies the Mexican flag because it's their heritage. The Confederate flag is not our heritage in Kentucky. Kentucky never seceded from the Union. We were loyal to the Union. The Confederate flag never flew over Kentucky except on occupied battlefields. So I would like, for a lot of different reasons, one, for what that flag stands for, it's offensive, but two, when those 30,000 vehicles are driving through western Kentucky and they look at that flag, they have an image of far western Kentucky. And if someone's interested in locating a business here, a factory here, a manufacturing facility, and they see that huge Confederate flag flying over our county, I think they'd go elsewhere. I would. I don't think it's what we need. That flag belongs in a museum. It does not belong at exit 16 in McCracken County flying over the interstate for 30,000 people a day to look at. I think it's in your face. I think it's offensive. And I would like to see this commission pass a resolution of opposition to the sons of Confederate veterans to raising that flag in Reedland. I would like to see that stopped.
Commissioner Watkins, I will have to say that I think it's a great insult, and I will have to agree with you on that also.
I was talking to some folks about this very subject, and whenever I hear folks say that this flag doesn't mean what you think it means, it's part of our heritage, I'm thinking about Germany, and I'm thinking that if a flag with the emblem of a swastika was on that and it was flying and someone took issue with it, well, that's part of our heritage. It's not really, well, when you think about what you laid out, people say that war was about a whole lot of things. Mainly, it was owning people. And when you see that, that's what I think about. So that, I can say a lot of things about that, but I agree with your statements, Commissioner. And I think it is in your face, and I think that is an insult. And by the Constitution of the United States, folks have a right to, if it's their property, they can do what they want with that. But by that same Constitution, I can speak out against what I feel that it's what it means to me, and I can voice my opinion on that, and that's what I'm doing at this point.
Well, let's put it down that this commission is in favor of a resolution condemning the raising of the Confederate flag in McCracken County, and we oppose that and hope that this group will reconsider and not raise that flag in McCracken County.
Do we need to put that in a formal
Yeah, let's
motion
pass.
to do a resolution, or how do we do it?
Well, is timing of concern here because we won't have another meeting
Right.
for, is it 2 weeks or possibly?
Yeah, we need to do it tonight then. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Second?
Second.
Now, this is to do the resolution, correct?
Pass a resolution tonight condemning that, opposing that, the flag being raised in McCracken County.
Can we do that? All right.
Keep it straight.
Yeah, that's important. We don't want the wrong headline.
And you seconded, correct?
Yes.
Just want to make sure I have the right
Mhm.
word in.
Right, roll call?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Watkins?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Kaler?
Aye. Okay, do we have any public comments tonight? Hello?
For baseball practice too, they're gonna have to run the poles here. There's supposed to be baseball practice at 6. Go ahead and say your name.
My name is Christian Spillane, and please build us a ballpark. My name is Kaya Walden, and please build us a ballpark.
And that's my son Talon Cockrell. I'm Kathleen Sullivan Cockrell. I know some of you already. I sent an email just today. Some of you haven't seen it yet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You guys can get to practice. Thank you. And in that email, I kind of go along with Mark. We are really hoping to have this built here. I am road weary. We have 11 tournaments this year. The only one in Kentucky is in Louisville. We go to Cordova, Jackson, Mount Juliet, Nashville, Antioch. I'm the one that sent Mark the information on the FNC. We'll be heading there on June the 8th for our second year down there, and it is a beautiful facility, and it is amazing how they pulled that together. I've got, they didn't do it just with city funds, and Gerald, on your comments, FNC Park came to be because the man that owned that land, he wanted to build a subdivision. So he gave that 75 acres for FNC Park to the city, knowing that his lots were going to sell for a nice price, being right next to that beautiful facility.
Cool.
So I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Excellent idea. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and it can be done. I've committed to Mark to be I'll pass this around, Richard. This is one of the smaller ways that they've funded that park, by doing pavers. And I've committed to Mark to raise $75,000 over the course of the next year.
Cool.
Between 15 of our travel baseball teams. They average 10 children per team, so that's 150 kids, and if each family will sell 10, we could sell 1,000 pavers at $75 a piece. That's $75,000, and then a few more business-sized pavers to cover the cost of the pavers, which are available through Midwest at 80 to 90 cents a piece, and to cover the engraving costs. So, and that's just getting small sponsors. This is the list of FNC Park sponsors, and you can see the top one is FNC. That's the mortgage software company. They're the ones that gave the $500,000 over 10 years. I think Mark passed around a copy of that contract showing the different ways. But if you look down that list, you can see the names of businesses and doctors' offices, and you can plug in. When I look down that list, I can plug in similar businesses here that I'm sure would step up to the plate to make this happen. But we are spending, we average, $400 to $500 a weekend, and that's 11 weekends in a season. So just between our few baseball teams here, we're taking $1 million away from here. We would love to spend that money here and sometimes be able to sleep in our own beds instead of in hotel rooms, and have other people come here. I printed this list off. It's a little hard to read, but that's a tournament that was down in Jackson. at the beginning of the season. That's just a list of the 11-year-olds that were in that tournament. And if you notice, there's 18 teams in the 11-year-old division. They're from 6 states, and we could get that here. They would come from Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, Tennessee, Arkansas, because we're in a great location. We're right in between everything. Last year we had our World Series in St. Louis. This year we're going to Branson, Missouri. Be great to have these World Series tournaments here. They're huge events. And, you know, the quilters are great. I hosted quilters again for the 3rd year in a row at my Lower Town home. But they're not a guarantee, are they? They have a contract for a few more years, but what if they stop coming?
Well, there are no guarantees.
There's no guarantees. I say sports is a guarantee. I think, I don't know, Richard, if you agree with me, the economy doesn't really affect it too much. Kids are going to play ball.
They're going to play.
They're going to play. And the parents will find a way. We might eat hot dogs and beans during the week, but our kids are going to play ball. And anyhow, I just want to say I'm fully on board. I'm excited about the project, and I think it's great that you're going to revisit it and maybe look at some ways to get more creative with making it happen. But I really like your idea of selling off part of it.
I'd like to, Mark, if you, when you find some time, look at all of our frontage and do 1 acre lots and then do 75% of an acre and see how many just along Shannon Bridge Road, and then we'll take maybe 4 or 5 acres for, but that could go back a little for the house. See how many lots we come up with. Cool.
That's all I have to say. Thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We don't have an executive session
We do not.
tonight, so meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, you got quick meetings. Mayor Pro Tem, you have quick meetings.